Nottingham has been painted blue. Anthony Canocat has scored the goal. It's the goal. Alain Le Bleu.
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
The Leicester Till I Die shop is now open.
For all your Leicester Till I Die merchandise,
Visit the Leicester Till I Die shop at our website.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away, in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City.
In 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reach the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
Leicester Till I Die TV. Your first choice for everything Leicester City.
tune in.
And join in now.
And now, here's your host.
Right, Chris.
Well, all right. How the devil are you all? I guess I was better than I was post the last match. We needed a performance. I think the result was a bit of a given either way, to be honest with you. Did we get that performance? You know, a few players dropped, but then they were brought on and seemed to make little difference at all. This is the post-match show on Leicester Till I Die TV. Catch us on YouTube at Leicester Till I Die TV, and please give us a subscribe if you do. And if you're watching on or listening on Catch Up on podcast platforms, Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, Podcast Addict, we are all over the podcasts. And thank you very much for listening. This is where we are.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
And we'll start off with a quick comment here. Hello, Chris. And this is David S. Good evening, sir. We lost and I'm not happy, but I like how we played. We had purpose to our possession. And although we didn't have lots of chances, we threatened and kept resolute throughout, to be honest. I mean, the second goal kind of knocked the stuffing out of me. If it wasn't for Casper, God knows what the score would have been. And that was the worry. Well, it couldn't have been any worse than Forest. This is the post-match show, and Brad's going to be joining us straight after this.
It's the Premier League post-match show with Chris and Brad on Leicester Till I Die TV.
strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Well, the players strapped up, strapped in, and ready to go. So, Brad, evening. How are you, sir?
Evening, mate. Just trying to figure out when we actually kick off, mate, because BT did announce that the game finished 2-0 to Liverpool, but from what I had, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I don't know, had to listen to the game. I only heard Liverpool. So when are we turning up? When we kick off?
Probably July.
You know what? You know I'm not the biggest lover of stats, but I'd like to throw my hat in. I mean, me 2 pence worth of guess possession stats would be 97% to Liverpool, 2% to Casper, and 1% to the ball boy.
You probably wouldn't be far off, to be honest with you. I mean, I was watching it I'm
going to say this now, mate. Sorry, but I'm going to say this now. Yeah. I'm not fooled by that performance. I'm not fooled by that performance like the rest of us seem to be. I'm not.
Do you not think it was a better performance than Nottingham Forest?
It was a scared performance. That's what that was. That was option A. Defend for our lot. Do you remember when Bournemouth had 0 shots against Man City and they only lost 1-0? The only one wasn't. Everybody went, yeah, but it should have been about 7.
Yeah,
no difference tonight. That was scared. That's not the correct response to a thrashing. You know, Man City away. I'd rather have scored on like that tonight because at least then we were cheerful after that, were we not?
Yeah.
I nearly fell asleep listening to Liverpool kick the ball around for 90 minutes. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm not impressed with that for a response. It's a response, but we still conceded from a set piece, and we still didn't do anything going forward. So where's the response? Where's the drive, the passion, and the determination to go at Liverpool and get underneath them? Liverpool had it all day.
I did a watch along, which you can still get on the YouTube channel Leicester Till I Die TV, and I actually did it with a Liverpool fan, so it was a little bit different. There was myself and a Liverpool fan, 2 oppositions looking at it, and he kept saying, and he had a fair point, that we did have spells in the game where we were actually on top, or as much as on top as Liverpool would let us be, but it was only spells. But the thing was, you did feel that Liverpool were only in second gear.
Yeah, the saying we had spells is like saying a tornado only ripped through half your house and the other half still standing.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it, so I'm not doing a tactic board today, but I actually did do one just in case, right? That's what it is. It's the 1884 coach. That's the halfway line, and that red thing there's the tunnel. And what the players did is they walked out the tunnel and straight in front of Casper, because that's all we did for 90 minutes. I
can understand. I can understand why you're saying that, but I do feel like, although as I said, okay, Liverpool might have been sat in second gear, but it was a bit of a risky game to play at 1-0. But we didn't pose any threats, and I know you're not one for stats, but I'm gonna show these anyway. Just not to wind you up, you understand? But
I know, because I'm actually interested in these ones or how bad they'll be.
22 shots from Liverpool, 5 from us. That kind of does sum the game up.
We had 5 shots.
Okay. We had 5 shots, yeah. When we look at the passes, they had twice as many as us. They had twice as many touches. But again, I'm going mad. I'm going absolutely mad because what colour do they play in?
What, Leicester or Liverpool?
Liverpool.
Red.
What colour do we play in at Leicester?
Blue.
So unless we've got the most colourblind players in any squad, surely when you're in a blue shirt, you pass the ball to a blue shirt. No, apparently not. Apparently you pass it to a red shirt. And that is probably why they've got so many touches. But in fairness, we were playing with fear.
Yeah, we were, and that's why I understand that it's a natural reaction. I understand it's Liverpool, and I take it into account. And I'm probably using wrong term of words here. I'm probably more disappointed that we didn't go for the fire in our bellies, get in Liverpool's faces, cause them issues, sort of approach. And we did go for this defensive one. I understand why, but I suppose that's what I mean. I'm more disappointed because I'm not kidding you, mate. I spent most of that second half with my phone in front of me, face down or whatever, and I was listening to it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Just because at no point, even yes, and people might come on here and say, "Well, we did that against Liverpool at King Power and it worked." No, actually, we didn't, because we actually looked for creating chances. We actually looked and kept players in the second half to try and counter them. That's how we scored the goal. We
I'm
never
going to be
looked like
honest here. I'm going to hold my hand up and I'm going to take blame for the second goal because I was I was about a minute all the way through behind the Liverpool fan on the stream that we were watching. And just at 1-0 and just before the end of the game, I went, well, 1-0, that's not bad. 2-0, I'd probably be a little bit disappointed. I turned to the screen to see him going, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have opened my mouth, should I?
Yeah. See, I just blame you full stop. You've done 2 watch-alongs and we've lost. It's all your fault. Chris out. That's what I say. Hashtag Chris out.
Good evening to Dorco, Facebook user. Although we lost, I expected bigger scoreline. Hardly no shots, no attack, little forward runs. Defence looked better, but loss is a loss. Going to Anfield would always be a hard one. Jason. Fair points, Jason, because I know you're very, very, very much Brendan out. It was... we say this, don't we, Brad? Some games are a given. You're probably not going to get anything from them. And even if we were playing on top of our form, like we were the last couple of seasons, we still don't get anything at Anfield. It kind of was the performance. And yes, I don't think we were ever going to... I know what you're saying, because I wanted to see him get up and get at them. They don't like it up on Mr. Jones. They don't like him, or Captain Mannering. That was it. They don't like him up on Captain Mannering. But Liverpool knew that. You've got an experienced manager there that's going to say to his players, look, Leicester are going to be up for this. We've got to snuff this out, and we've got to make sure that we don't let them get into the game.
Yeah, but the problem is with that statement, though, mate, is Jurgen Klopp must have been sat there after about 20 odd minutes going, oh, fuck me, I read Leicester wrong. I thought they'd be right at us.
Yeah, well, but then again, did Liverpool let us? Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of question.
The fact that they were able to stroll it out from the edge of their box all the way to halfway in our half tells me they were easy to do whatever they liked on that ball.
Yeah.
But what I was able to see before I gave up on the stream, it didn't seem to change.
Well, I don't think you missed much, to be honest with you. It wasn't the most exciting. If you were neutral, you'd have probably gone off and put classic Coronation Street on. Dorco, we only had 3 players, Schmeichel, Ndidi and Albrighton. Yeah, I mean, Schmeichel, man of the match by a mile.
Yeah,
and
that's not up for debate. That's not up for debate tonight, is it?
It isn't. And I think when you're goalkeeper, although we'll see what Alan has to say later, but for me, when your goalkeeper is man of the match, that kind of says which way the game was going. Yeah. Maisie, good evening, Devils United TV. Thanks very much, Maisie. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the kind words. Your graphics and thumbnails outstanding, as well as your channel. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Maisie. Means a lot, that. Rob McFarlane, KDH coming of age performance for me. Got blue blood, well done. He did. He made a difference. KDH hates Watford. I did well versus Liverpool. Hey mate, you did, KDH. I think that might be Mella. I'm not agreeing with you both on the playing with fear. We went forward on left with Lookman and Thomas. Matters, and it's our passing that let us down. We tried to move it forward at least. It was an improvement, David. Yes, I 100% agree. We couldn't pass Win tonight. That was the awkward part. As soon as we got into a dangerous position, we passed it to a red. Now, that's not going to get you the win. We hadn't got a Vardy. That's what scares Liverpool when they see Vardy's in the team. They looked at Daka, who was obviously Vardy number 2. But again, we didn't really play to his strengths. And once he came off, Inacho doesn't play that way, and we were never going to get anything. No,
they're playing Inacho with a deep line forward. I don't understand why he wasn't. I don't understand as much as I think I agree with the comment about Albrighton. Whilst maybe for a more attacking impetus and a change in shape, that somebody wasn't dragged out of the midfield to go to up front.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Facebook used a bit of a cop out that performance. Brendan may dress this up, but I call it a dressing down. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like putting a plaster on a broken leg. It's not going to do much. And I think most fans will possibly look at that and go, yeah, it was only 2-0. Yes, we did perform better than Forest, but that's not saying much because Forest was so goddamn awful. It's like saying we only played -5 where last time we played -20. It's going to be interesting, and I think they needed that game to maybe get out of the system because there's going to be such an atmosphere at the King Power on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, the fans won't be making a racket, and for the 90 minutes that the ball's actually in play. Well, the two halves. I think the fans will be behind them, but I think the fans will let them know at half time and at full time. If they're not doing so well, and I fear for that game though.
Yeah, you literally, as Blessing Meatloaf once said, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Rest in peace, Meatloaf. Yeah. I don't get the Brad Tallis there, Facebook user. Hi, Chris and Brad Tallis.
I don't know. So maybe the Facebook user will have to explain that one to me.
We did play with fear versus Liverpool in the Carabao Cup when they came back in the second half, and versus Spurs too. Goalkeeper man of the match
for that as well.
80 million, and they still can't pass the ball to a person on the same team. Exactly what I was saying, Dorco, earlier. David Gamble, good evening. How the devil are you, sir? Rob, going to be a long few months away. This is panning out. David S., I reserve my judgment versus West Ham. If we lose that one, I will have a problem. I mean, everybody, yeah. And I think a lot of people are saying, like, is this the end for Brendan? There's a couple on the stream, on the watch along. Does Brendan go after this? I just do not. And I said this, didn't I, yesterday on Doug's show. If we get rid of him now, two things. A, be careful what you wish for. We I know we didn't want to get rid of O'Neill, but when he did go, look at what happened there. But so be careful what you wish for. And B, if a new manager comes in, what's he going to do? He's got the same number of players. He's got the same players. He can't, he's got a transfer window. What else is going to happen with this season? And he might change things around. And you got players trying to work out new systems. I just think we're here until the end of the season, in my eyes.
Yeah, maybe, which is very sad to hear because I don't understand Rodgers' logic of thinking sometimes. He stubbornly, rightly, however he saw it as a manager, wanted to give a period of time suitable to try and implement something else into Leicester, because we did go through a stage, and we probably fell back into that stage of being known as the team that can counter-attack you to death. We'd hit you quick on the break. We wouldn't dominate the ball, but what we'd dominate is the attacking side of the game. We'd create more chances. We'd convert them. If we won, it was always a high-scoring one. You weren't going to contain us. At this season, they just look like scared children. It almost felt like they'd sent out the under-12s against full-grown men, and it worries me. It really worries me, because I've been saying for weeks the way we do things on the pitch is becoming more and more anti-Leicester, and sometimes in football-wise, you feel you might need to freshen it up and not be too predictable all the time. Sometimes don't change what's broken. You said at the start of the season, why is it Iheanacho is our top goal scorer? You said this at the end of last season.
Yeah.
Why is it Iheanacho is our top goal scorer? For the first time in a long time, Vardy gets beaten for the highest club goal scorer of that season. In a two-man formation, we sign another striker and still persist with a one-man strike force. It's not like you can't get Lookman and Barnes and Maddison and Yuri into that team. I mean, if you're trying to accompany Dewsbury Hall into your system, then maybe you have to sit him on the bench and bring him on as a sub and an impact sub, or maybe you have to drop Yuri or Maddison, whichever, if they're not in form, and use them that way. You can't force somebody into your team if it's completely affecting you, your friend, and it's really starting to affect Leicester.
Totally agree. And for once, the coverage that I was watching was BT, And yeah, I mean, sorry, Michael Owen, and I said this to the Liverpool guy, decent footballer, absolutely shite pundit, and he actually agreed with me. But I'm probably going to upset a lot of people watching now when I say I actually like Robbie Savage as a pundit. I think he says it as it is, and he said before the game, Leicester have got probably the 8th, 9th most expensive squad in the league.
Yeah.
So probably 8th or 9th is probably they shouldn't be disappointed with. And as fans, I think it has the fact that we finished 5th for the last 2 seasons. Like I said to you before, we're turning into sort of Arsenal fans. Like, well, why aren't we there now? We should be there now.
Yeah. I mean, if they're already annoyed, they're going to get more annoyed. I've actually always said I've liked Robbie Savage. At the end of the day, we loved him at the club because he wasn't the most brilliant of footballers. I still remember the stories of when O'Neill had a go at people because they passed the ball to Savage when he told them not to pass it to him because he can't play football.
Yes.
But as a player, we loved him because he'd wind the opposition up, he'd get in someone's face, he'd get them going into fouls and getting cards, and we loved him. And then he left our club and he did the same with Blackburn, he did the same at Derby. I also remember his infamous first interview when he signed for Derby, and he got asked the question, what made you come to Derby? And he goes, well, I remember when I played for Leicester and Blackburn, we used to beat them all the time, so I kind of felt I owed them something for always beating them, and it rubbed Derby fans up the wrong way. But it's because his persona, it's his personality. He actually does talk a lot of sense when he's actually.
I think with a lot of Leicester players, or Leicester fans, they expect an ex-Leicester player, when they become a pundit, to say that the sun shines out of Leicester City's arse. He wasn't from Leicester. He wasn't from Leicester. He didn't only play for Leicester, so why should he? He says it, and when I've watched him, Champions League, he's always been extremely fair and honest. But like he said, 8th or 9th probably shouldn't, anything above that. Or not, it's a bonus, but you know what I mean. We shouldn't be moaning where we are now, because it is. And like I said to you the other day, it's only one season. Did Liverpool fans call for Klopp's head? And when after the season when they won everything, and the next season they didn't win anything at all, they're still only finishing second. Oh, let's get rid of Klopp. They're not doing, because it's a long-term project. And that's what we've got, Rodgers in for.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's obviously clearly we sit here and say with managers that there seems to be a limit on their cycle at a club where they get people. Managers got probably like a 3 to 5 year managerial span, depending on how successful it goes for them. But you again, we made this point in a post match, didn't we? It's the same with players, and people might be, and it's why I stressed the point that maybe Rodgers isn't getting desperate down. He actually made a very good point, because I think there's a reason certain players didn't start tonight. I also think there's a reason that certain players didn't come on tonight. There is obviously certain groups of players that, whether I don't want to say it's a down tools job, because I don't like that, because that's just a media rub hand job to get fans going, see, I knew it was him, and then they think they've known it all, like they've got some inside information, they really don't. But I think sometimes, and it doesn't, I know it might not sound right and people might not agree with me, but sometimes you join a club and you set yourself ambitions, and when you achieve them ambitions, you know you've put all your effort into it. I'm not saying they're lacking inspirational motivation. I'm sure they want to go out in that pitch and play well, but sometimes you just you exhaust yourself so much that when it's going wrong and the confidence is low in the camp, and you've got players around you. I mean, they've missed some 5-yard passes, Chris.
Yeah,
it's like one of the first things you teach them as kids is to make a simple 5-yard pass, and that tells you that they're desperately lost in a headspace of lack of confidence. So. Something needs to happen. Why I worry the West Ham
towards the. I mean, we're going to look at the squad starting lineup in a minute, but Steve from Statsman, who was doing watch along with me, he said, "Oh, do you think Leicester are going to make any substitutions?" I said, "Well, who can we bring on? All we can bring on is players that we've dropped from the weekend, and we've dropped them for a reason." And I think it was. I think it was towards the end on the left-hand side. You literally had 2 Leicester players that were just playing past the ball.
Yeah.
Player A passed it to B, and I'm from here to the wall. That's sort of the distance between the two players, and then they passed it back, and it was literally 4 passes like that, and you're like, what the fuck, But
I'll answer for you, mate, because I mentioned it in all my other tactical boards. All I see them practice is short distance passing.
Yes.
In fact, in fact, if anyone after this show, go and watch the Leicester training video and really read the body language. Some of the players look actually bored of the same drills.
I haven't, but I might do that. That's a good point. But what did you think when this team was announced? I mean, Schmeichel in goal, Justin Amati, Ndidi, and Thomas. And I think, first of all, the fact that you've got Soyuncu and Vestergaard on the bench, and you bring a midfielder back into defence, maybe that'll be saying to them, pick up your game, guys. Dewsbury Hall and Samari, which I thought did very, very well together. Lookman, Madison, Albrighton, and then Daka up front. For me, Daka again didn't get the proper service. But looking at that, I'd say I didn't think it was a team that was going to go and get 3 points at Liverpool. But what did you think of the team?
Same as I thought every time, mate. Every time I've seen a Leicester side, with the quality we have on paper, there isn't too many ways you could organise that team without going ridiculous, obviously, before someone puts something like, what if Cass was up front? Obviously, that wouldn't work. But in terms of putting people in their proper position and playing them where they prefer to be played, there isn't many lineups that Leicester don't put in front of me that I look at and go, we should really give Liverpool, Man City's a game and we should beat teams below us. And I'm sick of saying it, and I'm sick of sitting here going, well, that was a crap performance, or there was things wrong with that.
Delka says, bored. Are you right there, Brad? The players are bored.
Yeah, they looked at it. If you watch that video, they look bored. Literally, at some point, you hear him screaming instructions, and I cannot remember the player, and I'm not going to say I think it's this one in case I'm wrong. You used to see that body language, the slumped shoulders, the arms are swinging. They're like, oh, we've got to do this again. I've been saying for weeks, Rodgers, I don't know what's going on in that mind of yours. I don't know if it's an ego thing. I don't know if you've been stuck in that mentality since Liverpool got rid of you and didn't give you the chance to correct a fall away season. But what did we have, Chris? 4 or 5 games where we didn't concede from set pieces? That was a good time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was coming on to that, but I think is there a thin line between a manager being stubborn and a manager sticking to his principles? I mean, you could say Alex Ferguson was stubborn, but look what he achieved. And I'm not saying I'm not putting him in the same bracket as Alex Ferguson. He was, and we have to say, love him or hate him, you have to respect and admire what he did as a manager.
The problem is Fergie commanded respect.
Yeah.
And you may have found that there were some United fans that when they changed, like you said, when they probably had to do a wholesale, players retired or moved on, and they had to make 5 or 6 signings, and he got his 5 or 6 signings in, and he incorporated them, and he went, right, with these new players, we can't play the old system. It's not going to work. So I'm going to do it. If the difference is between me and him is in Rodgers, is players probably sat there going, I don't know how we're going to do this, Gaffer, but you know what I mean? I'm not going to judge it yet. I'm going to try and get this to work. And then surprise, after 5 or 6 weeks, they're going, actually, this really does work. And the difference between that and this, between Rodgers and Fergie in being stubborn and allowing them to be stubborn, is Rodgers has gone, right, forget the calibre of players I got. I like to play a defensive line. I like to play passy 5-yard football. I did that at this club, and I will keep doing that wherever I go. So you guys have to change and adapt to it, or you're no good to me. Whereas Alex Ferguson got these 7 or 8 signings, or his first bunch of lads, and probably did a training session and went, right, the majority of my team, to get the best out of them, is this shape, this style of football. Not what he might stubbornly put it on them, but he used his footballing brain. He saw what they probably didn't. That as a collective team, that's how to get the best out of them. What Rodgers is doing is saying, this is how I want to get the best out of you. And they're going, oh, We're not that style of players. You can see it. How many times this season, Chris, or probably even in this sodden game, did we make a pass that was too far ahead, too far behind, or completely wrong direction into a red shirt? And how many games have we seen that this season? Probably 20 out of the 25 or whatever it is.
Yeah. But you see, what I can't get my head around is virtually the same players.
Yeah.
But we weren't doing, I mean, again, this is something BT brought up. After 20 games, 3 seasons ago, we were second. Last season, we were third. This season, we're 12th.
Yeah.
And it is a difficult season. I've said this myself, you know, anybody can beat anybody. Who'd have thought Burnley would have got a point at Man United? Who'd have thought Norwich would have been where they are and coming back? So it is a funny season. And we've had 9 injured defenders at different parts of the season. But given to even taking all of that, we've had injuries before. It's just the performance. You know, we started off tonight, and I've got to be honest with you, the thing I liked is that if Liverpool had the ball, we were going after them. We were getting stuck in, which we didn't against Forest, you know. So suddenly that was better. But as I still at the back of my head, I've still got a little feeling, could Liverpool have taken it up a gear or two? And I honestly think that they could, you know.
But to be fair, they probably did in that 20-minute spell when they were like, okay, this might be 1-0, but let's not rest on this, because all it's going to take is if they nick a ball, like they did, you know, there was probably a point where Klopp went, look, lads, we're not even out of first gear yet. But we all remember what they did to us at their ground when we were playing in first, second gear and bombarding and goals. Let's not do that mistake. Let's jump up a gear, maybe go up to third gear and get that second goal and kill them off. And they did it in the end with ease. You know, if it weren't for Schmeichel, I just wonder to those fans that are actually going, oh, well, we only lost 2-0. We did defend. Okay, we didn't really create much with defending. I want to ask you this one. Would you be saying exactly the same if them 5 or 6 chances had gone in the back of the net and we'd be talking about a 5, 6, 7-0 loss? That's why I'm not.
Would you also be saying that if we'd just lost 2-0 to Norwich?
Exactly. If that had been against Norwich or Burnley away, would we be sat here going, that's the way to do it to get that's the response I wanted to see. Yes, I wanted to see a more reassured defensive attack, but a defensive display, which I got to a degree, which I'm not saying I'm not happy with, because I was. Like you said, though, Chris, it couldn't got worse than Sunday. But I wanted to see something going forward, and there was nothing because everybody was sat on the coach. Paul Daka and Inacho were the only ones out the coach.
Yeah, I did say to Steve, who was doing the show with me, Mike saying, what was the game like? You'll get the gist of it from what we've been saying, Mike.
Yeah,
he was sort of saying 1-0, you know, and 2-0. They're not good score lines to defend. But as I said, well, at 1-0, there is the risk that we will break away and nick one. Yeah. But I couldn't see us doing that. I said, that's the thing, Steve. I said, I can't sit here and say I can see us scoring, you know.
No. And I saw Doug. Sorry, Chris, go on. No, go on. I thought you finished.
No, all I'm going to say was that's what, when we've said, you know, you said it, that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see a team creating chances.
Yeah,
I could have lost. We didn't do.
Yeah, I could have lost that game 2-0, the exact same scoreline. But if we'd have had 11 chances, 4 on target, and they'd had, even if they'd still had the 20 chances that they had, if we'd have just shown that creativity and the urgency to do it, I'd be sat here, you know, praising them like we did in the Man City defeat, and we lost that 6-3 for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? At least you know what I mean? And the thing is, this has been troubling for probably since that Spurs game, to probably since the second half of the Brighton game. You know, ever since we took our lead on the Brighton game, and with the mentality, and he's got to be causing issues. He's got to be playing on a player's mind. I think, you know, I made that statement when we won the league and we turned it around against Villa, and I said that summed up both seasons, because we never thought we would beat, and they always thought they would beat. I'm getting that feeling that we're the Villa of that year, because they never seemed comfortable. It almost, like you said, we started off well against Forest, but the second that goal went in, the floodgates opened, and we're just, if you really break that game down, let's face it, the chances they had, the scoreline could have matched it and been worse than Sunday in the end. I mean,
five attempts on, 5 shots, 20% on target, so that's basically 1. And I'm sorry, as a Premier League team, that to me that's just not good enough. It simply is not good enough.
And I feel like maybe some of them shots were a bit generous to be awarded to us.
Well, possibly. I mean, I don't. Forest. Sorry, Liverpool were taking pot shots a lot of the time, but like you say, if it hadn't been for Casper, God knows what the score might have been. And we can't keep doing that week in, week out. And the problem is the players that we're going to bring back are the players that we've dropped. And Tielemans and Barnes were brought on. They had no difference. They were like for like. Tielemans came on for Sumari. Barnes came on for Lookman.
Yeah.
No difference. No, absolutely. So you're not changing it tactically. Plan B wasn't coming in. Inacho came on for Daka. Well, you got to change. If you're playing Inacho, we know he's a different player to Daka stroke Vardy. But I just think, has he brought them on? I mean, even Steve said, like, I haven't heard them be mentioned yet.
I'll be honest with you, it was like Iosi Perez syndrome. I didn't hear Barnes. I knew he came on, but
David, you're quite right. If it wasn't for Casper, we could have lost 5-0.
Yeah, I will just say to Darko's comment, just quickly, Daka is no Vardy. 3 goals in 3 games before tonight. If Vardy was on that pitch and got as little as the ball as Daka did, you'd be here. Maybe not you personally, but I'll re-correct that. I don't want to just aim this at him. I'd like to say, don't get too hasty on Daka because he's got a very good record this season. And he scored 3 goals in 3 appearances.
Yeah.
Until tonight, which would have been 4-4 if he'd have managed one. But if that was Vardy on the pitch, we'd be sat here going, well, it was a service. Well, he didn't do this. What's Vardy supposed to do if he's not getting the ball? Yeah. But don't try and get too negative with Daka. I know it wasn't great tonight, but you have to admit, Darko, maybe not yourself. Like I said, I'm not aiming this at you, but there would be fans on here going, oh, it's not Vardy's fault. It's the supplier. So
yes, yeah. And it was. He didn't get the supply. Hello, Doug. You've obviously finished work now. Very happy Liverpool fan there. You got a 2-0 win. And I've got to be totally honest with you. It was deserved. I can't say that it wasn't. David says, look how we thought we played versus Arsenal and their goalkeeper saved them from losing. It's all about perspective. We kept their open play prowess at bay. Jota scored first goal from lucky deflection. But it was still from a set piece, wasn't it? It still came from the corner.
Yeah, but David, you say that, but did we really? Look, maybe someone will tell me differently because, like I've openly admitted, I listened to the game. But in that game, it sounded like Jota could have had 4 and Salah could come off the bench and grab the hat-trick. That does not sound like a team that stopped Liverpool's prowess. In fact, if anything, it showed that Casper or Liverpool themselves stopped their own prowess because either the keeper saved it or they missed it. I don't see that as a good performance of stopping Liverpool's prowess. Stopping Liverpool's prowess would be coming off to this game going, we lost 2-0 and I'm so gutted because we restricted them to only 7 shots and 2 on target. They just went in the back of our net. That, to me, would be stopping the prowess. Getting 20 odd chances against you and having the keeper having the best game no, that's not stopping prowess. That's a keeper getting shot drills taken at him.
Yeah. Facebook user there, David Gamble, when you play one up front, we never score goals. Brookline, good evening, sir. How are you? Nice to see you along again. Disconnected team, no transition defence to offence. Players very rigid positionally. Lookman cannot link up. I think it might be a bit harsh on Lookman, I think. But do you know what? I mean, I forgot what I was going to say now. I totally had it there and it's gone. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's my age, guys. It's my age, I'm getting closer and closer to that bus pass, I'll tell you. And at least when I get my bus pass, I promise you guys, I'll go and get the bus and I'll park it in front of Casper. There you go. I'll do my bit for the club. But when you've got if you Barnes or if you Tillemans, and you both know that you didn't have a good. It wasn't just you two, but we couldn't drop everybody. But you two did not come up to the standard that we wanted from you as players. We know that you can give. So when you come on and you're basically given a second chance after that performance against Forest, I'm sorry, if I'm not getting the ball, Barnes, I'm going to get it. I'm going to fight and get that ball. Same with Tillemans. Yes, all right, we know you can do this, you can do that, you can pull the spectacular off, and we love you. But you've got to prove to us that you still can play for us. Go and look for the ball, go and get the ball, and don't just wait for it to come to you.
Yeah. Although, and I'm not putting this in defence because he didn't do what was needed of him, a percentage of the blame could be laid to what I previously made about Rodgers. And that is, I don't understand why he feels such a need to have Tillemans playing as an anchor role. I don't understand why we played Dewsbury Hall and Samore in that double pivot role. Yet every time I've watched Leicester play with Dewsbury Hall and obviously normally Ndidi in that role, and you're on the pitch, all three of them seem to get back. I've noted many times on my tactic board that the gap we leave by being so deep and defensive between Madison, Lootman, Barnes, and whoever's up front, whether it's Daka, well, mainly Daka or Vardy, is what's really costing us being sharp and quicker in attack and being able to not let teams set up behind us. I'd rather see him sat on that halfway line. I'd rather, I know it might sound crazy, but I'd rather him not sprint 20 yards back to try and win the ball because then we've got no outlet. I'd rather a Dewsbury Hall, if that's his role, or a Samore, or a Ndidi, or whoever, or one of the back line to pick that ball out, nick it off a bad pass from a Liverpool player, and then knock the ball 15, 20 yards forward, straight to the feet of Tillemans, so he can then turn and go and give it to Madison. And it seems so fundamentally easy. And maybe I'm missing a trick. Maybe I don't know the key tricks of the trade for managerial, but it seems simple fix. And I just don't understand. I just don't understand why we can't seem to fill that gap. Is it because he's got them only working on 5-yard passes and now they're incapable of not only doing that, but making anything further?
Yeah.
Because
David, congratulations, mate. 89. I hope I survived to be 89. I'll tell you, following Leicester, I don't know if I will be. Might just on that point you were just making there, Brad. Rodgers at fault tonight?
Yeah. I don't think. Obviously, look, we're talking probably more individual performances than we're talking an overall performances. There was obviously players that didn't come in and do the job. But for me, Rodgers hit the wrong response button. He had two choices tonight: take Liverpool on and prepare for a high-scoring defeat, or play exactly how we did. Try and make sure we don't get thrashed tonight, and we got a lot of fortune in not getting thrashed tonight, and a great performance by England. Leicester. I won't say England. Then Denmark and Leicester's number one in Casper. My biggest problem is what's that expression, Chris? If you don't buy a lottery ticket, you're never going to win a lottery. Yeah. And at no point tonight did we even look like we'd brought one for a practice draw, let alone the actual main event. We didn't buy a ticket. And that's where I think he got it wrong. I could understand trying to soak it up, frustrate Liverpool for the first 25, 30 minutes and then spring it. That's fine if we'd have done that. But at no point could I tell by the way the commentators were speaking and how easily Liverpool coasted from their own half into our half. Did I think, okay, we're stepping it up now? But at no point did I hear us break away and suddenly we were on a 3-on-4 attack against them. At no point did I hear something like that to make me suggest that we were springing that trap on Liverpool. It just felt like I said, and I compared it to the Bournemouth Man City game from a few seasons ago, it felt like let's make sure we somehow don't get beat 4-5-0 tonight.
Yep, no, I agree. And just looking at, we'll just bring this in. This is how things stand at the moment. So here we are. So we're on 26 points. We're sat in 12th. Won 7, lost 9. We are 13 points off 6th. But we are also only really off Norwich. We are 9 points off 18th. I mean, I think there's 3 worse teams than us, and it is very, very hard to judge Leicester on this because it was Liverpool, and I think Sunday will be more of a test. I'm glad in a way they've had the Liverpool game rather than it being a Norwich tonight, because if we'd gone out and lost to a Norwich, no matter how well we'd played, the writing's on the wall, know. But I don't think we're going to be dragged into a relegation fight, because I think there's teams that are actually worse than us. But when you look at that, you can see there are problems, and it's just a case of, is Rodgers the man to sort of take us forward? Like I say, for me, he gets till the end of the season. Let's see if we've got some money to spend. Let's see, we know Tielemans is going to be leaving. Let's see who else leaves, and let's see sort of, who he brings in. And then if December it's not working, I think that is when we have to make the break, personally.
It's a smart decision as well.
Yeah, that for me would work. Can we steal Nathan Jones from Luton? Says KDH. Tell me about him. I don't know anything about him. KDH. Brad, we did that many times. We had breaks, but we were called back offside. So you could say that was the player's fault. We should have had more penetration, but think you both are judging them too harshly.
I get Dave's point to a thing.
Yeah.
I just think both the players and the managers went about it the wrong way. I mean, it's you might say in that sense that the players were offside, so every time we actually break away, but that's because Liverpool had so much time on the ball. They were allowed to press so high on our defensive line that their defense was high as well, and because we had very little to any blue near their defensive line, when we were scrambling the ball away and looking for an outlet, the ball was played through, which, had we been attacking and they'd been, the only way we were going to score past Liverpool tonight is if their defence literally fell asleep from seeing their midfield and attackers pass it freely between themselves. Because the reason they were offside, mate, is because Liverpool kind of going, oh, fuck me. Oh, yeah. They've actually come at us. And then by that point, well, they got the ball and they got so frustrated waiting that, these players, these attacking-minded players, right? As soon as they see that ball coming in their direction from a clearance or a quick pass out, they're on it. They're gone. They're wanting that ball. They want that ball thread through to them. They want it quickly. And because there was such a big gap between the defence and midfield, or there were so many numbers back that we didn't have any bodies in front of that very rigid defensive line, they weren't able to do that. So when Maddison's so used and almost programmed in autopilot these players to do their run and make their initial run, which you're drilled to do, every club does it, you're drilled to do that. When they kind of can't, you kind of have to take the blame a little bit as a player, because then you should read the situation a bit more and, weirdly enough, drop back so then you can still accelerate and not be offside in that situation. But at the same time, when you're expecting the ball there and you're expecting your team to actually show a bit of a attacking emphasis and want to get out that box, you can understand why these players were then getting triggered offside. I mean, to be fair, one discrepancy, I thought play should be either immediately stopped if it's clear offside, or the play is allowed to continue, and then if he tucks the ball in the net and VAR goes, he's offside, it's immediately ruled out. I wasn't a favour of seeing players bust the gut to get the ball to then the flag go up, but that's
we both said the same in the watch along. But we're going to have a look at how Alan, who was there, and apparently, and I don't like to give anybody sort of this publicity, but apparently there were Liverpool gangs that were waiting to ambush Leicester fans. If that is the case, then let's just hope that the blame is laid at the right door, because the moment we seem to be the blame all. We're gonna have a look at what he says straight after this.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Yeah, please do subscribe to the channel. If you're not watching on YouTube, get onto YouTube. It's Leicester Till I Die TV, and give us a sub. So this was Alan, who was probably trembling when he when he typed the details in. But he's given Brendan 6, the players 6, but his man of the match, and he didn't have a bad match, but he went for Lookman, which surprised me very well, because I think we both agreed, Brad, that Schmeichel's the outstanding player.
Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious. The guy made about 7-8 saves in that second half alone. Yeah. I mean, he made about 4 solid. He was only on a goddamn pitch for 15 minutes. But if you're talking outfield wise, I'm a big fan of Lookman. I like his drive. I like his determination. He's not the finished product by a mile, and there's definitely things on his game that he lacks or he needs to work harder on. But as a player that shows his commitment, considering he's also a lone player, and we know what people tend to think of lone players when it's not going well. They tend to get a bit bored, not interested, and they're going to go back to their club, or they. He's still showing that effort. He's showing that desire to keep playing. He's still keen to impress Rodgers. So he clearly seems to be having some intention to want to maybe make this move back to the Premier League a permanent one. But I'm surprised that Alan didn't give the overall man of the match to Schmeichel. Maybe he was getting a bit bored, as we were, of giving it to the same player, because for the last 3 weeks, I think we picked James Justin. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, looking on the BBC one here, yeah, I mean, for Leicester, Schmeichel was top. Maddison, Albrighton, Justin, Ndidi, Dewsbury, Old Tillemans, Inacho. Lookman was right down there, Alan. Daka, Amati, Barnes, Thomas, and Sumare. I mean, everybody's entitled to opinion, but I mean, I look at that and thinking Sumare wasn't that bad, and nor was Tom.
No, he wasn't. But again, you didn't really hear of him, because he wasn't able to really impact the game in a way you expect him to, which would be to turn and start the attack. Really, that's the one where that's the sort of role that he plays where, yes, obviously you're expecting him to do the job where he makes tackles, he makes blocks, but because the ball was always given away by whoever it fell to, he wasn't able to be the person that they pass it to give it to Yori or give it to Dewsbury Hall to go at it. And because we played the way he did, his role was kind of very much what it says in the middle of it. He played the defensive part of the central defensive midfield role tonight. So Samora wasn't bad at all, to be honest with you.
So I mean, past the the post-match interview with Brendan after the Forest game was a little bit nothing to do with me, it's everybody else's fault sort of thing. I mean, just reading between the lines here, Leicester City manager Brendan Rodgers to BT Sport. Tonight was not just about the result, but about restoring pride. You saw the supporters clapping the players off. They gave everything and had moments of quality. We kept a really tough team in it until the very end. We just lacked that bit of care in the final third of the pitch. Otherwise, we could have made more chances. I mean, to me, I think he's building it up a bit, to be honest with you.
I mean, yeah, but that is also his job, and that's probably a more natural Brendan interview. And look, to kind of make, kind of take on account of people's other opinions of the game, which is fair, because I have to admit, I only listened to it, and I got a different interpretation of the game to others. I will say this, whilst I was disappointed and frustrated that that's the way we went about it, I will agree that I can see why fans are a little bit happy, because at least for the majority of the game, they played part of the bus very well. You know what I mean? It might have not been the most prettiest, and it might have been boring, and it might have been very resolute part of the bus, but for the majority of that game, they did do it well. just not the response I was after for tonight. That's probably why I'm more defence and
yeah.
a bit more
I mean,
critical.
He goes on to say you have to be tight and organised when you have the ball, have the courage to play. And I thought the boys did that. I think our two centre halves did great. Wilfred indeed, he got caught in the pack for the first goal, and Virgil van Dijk had a free header. It's been an ongoing problem for us. It's definitely an area we can improve on. I think we've been saying that since week 1 about our defence, haven't we?
Would potentially improving it, and I know he does have a bit of a lead on it, but this has been a point that I've heard commentators on the game when they've been live saying, I know a few Leicester fans have said this. I'm glad we've gone back to man marking. Of course, that's one problem we solved, but one problem we've seemed to revert back to is, with the greatest respect, Virgil van Dijk's a bit of a tall bloke for a centre back, isn't he? He's not exactly lacking in height. Why does it seem that every time I've seen us man mark a set piece, we put our shortest players? I've seen it with Thomas as well, mark their tallest. I never wrap my head around that. I know, you know, that means people might say, well, that means we've got our Vestergaard on the pitch. But as Craig kindly pointed out before, Vestergaard doesn't have any sense of his own aerial threat in the way you'd expect him to with his height. But, you know, we move. I mean, my theory is that surely we could put someone a little bit taller than Ndidi to mark their most dangerous threat.
Yes. It goes on, you have to grind it, though. The players are much happier with that performance and the spirit. It's a challenge after a challenge. When you get that consistency with centre-backs, it gives you balance, and unfortunately that's been difficult for us. We will keep pushing and take that spirit into the next weekend. I mean, like I say, it was literally a case of did what we had to do.
Yeah, and you know what? You can clip this yourself. Somebody can clip this. Maybe Darko, if he's still there, will be interested in clipping this for what I'm about to say. You know what? If tonight's performance was a plan and they're all in agreement, that's the way they're going to try it. Damage the rotation, try and get really lucky and maybe nick an attack in it. And in the end, they've kind of got not a beat in, but they haven't got that chances. And the plan was to, you know, if they have gone in that dressing room, and obviously they're not going to be happy because they've lost the game, but if they're happy that they feel like they did exactly what was asked of them in terms of the defensive duty, minus the 2 goals, and they're feeling a bit more confidence for it, if they come out on Sunday and play the way I asked them to play today and go out West Ham and we go and beat West Ham 3-0 or 1-0 or whatever, the happy days, I'll take it. You know what? Fair dues, Brendan. If that's where you're doing it, it's a stroke of genius, right? So I'm sure David and Darko will be reminding me of this if we go and beat West Ham on Sunday. Saying, you know, David will be saying that's why he held judgment, and Darko will be saying that's what you get for being so harsh on them. So I'll happily take it if he gets us 3 points on the board.
Yeah. And I know we always say we prefer to have the points on the board than the games in hand. But, you know, we've played 21. We've got we are only 2 points behind Southampton, but we've got 2 games on Southampton. Palace are only 1 point behind us, but they've played 2 more games than us. Brentford, they're 3 points behind us, but they've played more games than us as well. But they played 3 more games than us, Brentford. Leeds have played a game more. Everton are the same. So, you know, it's not, you know, the season's far from over. I know the Burnley game's been rearranged for the 1st of March. So we've got that another midweek game there. We've got Europe coming back next week.
Yes, we do.
And the Randers FC or FC Randers, whatever it is.
Against the Dutch, is it Dutch League? I think it is.
Denmark, I think, isn't it?
Denmark, yeah, Denmark. Why did I say Dutch? I meant Danish.
It begins with D, so we'll let you off.
Oh, but I was going to say that, the Danish Rangers, as I call them, because that's because of the namesake, nothing to do with their ability.
Yeah, and I think really, I'm not going to say I'm going to totally change my mind, but do you know what? If we lose to them, then I think the knives will be,
especially if Sunday goes badly.
Yeah, the knives will be out. So,
and who knows? Maybe this is all part of Rodgers' cunning plan that we beat West Ham and then we go on and go on to win the Europa League conference, and we have a great end to the season.
Yes,
But
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
Dorco says there, put Justin on the wing. I had Pierre on the wing when I finally got 11 players on the pitch. Because, of course, when I picked the team yesterday on Doug's channel, I only had 10 players.
Yeah.
You know, but then, and in fairness, so did you until you.
I was just about to say I was never more happy to go first because I did my count and went, oh yeah, I can get Dewsbury Hall in this team. I did it then.
And anyway, one man that's happy talking about Doug. Good evening, young man. A happy chappy, keeping on the coattails of Man City.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do is basically just keep on the race, keep it as long as possible. But no, I mean, from what I'm hearing, apparently it was one-way traffic. And as I said on my stream yesterday, I thought Kasper Schmeichel would have had a busy game, and it turned out he did.
Go on, Brad.
Yeah, he really does. Really good, mate. I mean, look, all credit to Liverpool. You thoroughly deserved it. I'd rather Alisson have scored from 2-goal kicks than Diego Jota. I think I made my disdain for him very clear in Carabao Cup victory. And
it is your fault. Mate. It is your fault, Brad. You jinxed it.
Yeah, Diego Jota's on the hit list. He's up there with Kane and Rudiger and players like that because he always finds a way to score past us. But no, you did deserve it tonight. I mean, it was no short exaggeration to say that Salah came off the bench and could have grabbed a hat-trick. So we were probably fortunate in the scoreline ourselves. You know, we've had games throughout the last couple of years where we've gone the scoreline flattered them. And tonight you probably could be sat there. Probably the only blotch or frustration you might have is it was only 2-0. You know, your new guy, Luiz, didn't look like he'd never played, looked like he'd been playing in the Premier League for years. Jota could have had 4. And like I said, Salah could have had 3 coming off the bench. So, maybe our positive is your negative. I don't know, but you thoroughly deserved 3 points today. We definitely, unlike at King Power, we didn't deserve anything from this game.
No. And I think, in fairness to Liverpool, you were only ever in second, third gear. You did have another couple of gears that you could have gone up if you needed to. Which maybe flattered us a little bit because you were only playing in second or third gear, maybe then, Brad, we look better than we actually were.
You're being generous. I don't think Liverpool got out of neutral. I think they only took the handbrake off at half time because they thought in fact, you'll know this probably better than Doug unless you actually watched the game, but it was early in Brendan's tenure, and he probably does remember it because it's actually a painful game for Doug if he remembers it. Do you remember that game at the Etihad where Vincent Kompany had to score a screamer in like the 88th minute to beat us, and we played with like 9 at the back? And then ultimately, obviously, the reason I just thought that you might remember it is because obviously that was literally the point difference that stopped Liverpool doing something quite phenomenal that year. That felt like that, but even worse. Because even then, at least in the action, I had a chance to miss a sitter in that game. I didn't even feel like we was going to get a missed sitter in this game. Well, that's even more credit to Liverpool, to be fair.
Yeah, I heard. Was it Lookman? Someone had a shot and Alisson saved well, but apart from that, I heard Alisson had nothing to do.
No, he did a couple of saves, but at the end of the day, there was a gulf between us. And I think in the Premier League generally, you've got that top 3-4, and then you've got the rest, if you like. Yeah. And we have almost got 3 divisions within the Premier League itself. And I know fans don't want to hear this, and it's easy to write the season off so far. But like I say, I don't think we're going to get into Europe. I don't think we're going to get relegated. I just think we need to go all out for the Conference League and do our best. I think apart from Roma, I think we can go all the way in there if we've got the mindset right. And
I think the thing is, from looking at the table, like I was obviously watching when I was like on the way home, and you're in 12th place, but this is a very congested league this season. Like everyone is beating everybody.
Yes.
Your season's not going to be defined on defeats against City, Liverpool, Chelsea. it's going to be defined on the teams in and around you, your Southamptons, your Brightons. I feel that you can still gain something out of this season. And even then, you could easily go on a good run. West Ham on Sunday is a very difficult game, but that is a game that you could look to be, maybe getting something from, because West Ham, I know they scraped 1-0 against Watford, but they haven't exactly looked the best, and they are looking a little bit tired. A lack of investment is what is wrong with West Ham. So I think you can go into that game with a little bit of hope that you can maybe get something out of that.
Indeed, and I think as well, West Ham to me is the more important game than tonight. I mean, the fact that we had Liverpool following that debacle was it was like a get out of jail free card, because however, even if we played to our best, we were never going to, we've not been beating you at Anfield for years. So I think it was a kind of a sort of, oh God, it's Liverpool. At least let's try and do a performance. On Sunday, when the Hammers arrive, we've got to be up for that. And we've got to give the performance that we gave tonight plus even more. Would you not agree, Brad?
Oh yeah, definitely. And Doug makes a very good point about West Ham. You could almost say they're currently doing a Leicester for the last 2 years. They've got to this. They seem to have got to the second half, and it has something that I've made a note of over the predictions, and when I've been on other shows discussing West Ham being the team that are going to do a Leicester and maybe give up that top four spot and kind of drop into Europa League, which is not a disgusting thing at all. Like, it was made to be like the biggest catastrophe at Leicester last season and the season before, but it obviously isn't really. So yeah, I think maybe this is one of them games where we go into that game and West Ham will come into it from the media side being the favourites, but then we want into making sure they build on that tricky 1-0 win against Watford. And like you said, this could be the point where all this doom and gloom suddenly comes to an end, and it starts on Sunday because Leicester go and get a big victory, and it's almost seen as out of nowhere. And we have to remember we then do have games with teams, like you said, Doug, where granted I prefer them to be more at home, but I think we've got a fairer match of these games. But we have got your Norwiches, we have got your Evertons, we've got your Leeds coming round again, and we've got a run of fixtures where if we can just get it click in a way, especially in a manner if it's like a big victory, like a 2 or 3-0, we still don't know what's going to happen.
And I think that's the one way to look at it, is that you have got games coming up where you can basically get points. Everton are looking in big trouble. I don't know if you or Chris will agree with me. I don't think they'll go down, because I think there's still 3 teams that are worse off than Everton, but they're banging trouble. So get a result against Leeds, get a result against Everton, then you're pushing your way slowly up the league. I still think there's points to be won in this season. There's still a long way to go. And as I said earlier, it is a very congested league. I think you've got 26 points. I think Southampton have got something like 30 points. You're only 4 points off 10th. So there is something still to be gained out of this season. Yes, I know Arsenal won tonight, but what's the guarantee that they go and win again next week? It's a very, very congested league, and I still think there is lots to be played for before the end of the season.
Well, talking about a congested league, just doing the prediction league here, because of course Brad was doing the Man City. He was well ahead. I've got to be honest with you, Steve got a couple of points and he didn't even take part because I just went through and we knew that he was going to go against Tottenham and against Arsenal.
Yeah, one of these the best of his life.
Of course, he got the point with the Southampton. He didn't get the point against Arsenal, but I was just filling in for him, thinking, right, which way is he going to go? And I actually did almost as well for him as I did for myself. But Brad, last week you got nothing. You got zilch, zero.
Let me have a go.
You did better. Yes, you got one. You got one point. You are now on 88 points, sir. Coming up behind, and I don't like to say, that I have to be careful what I say about that, but I'm on 87. Ooh.
I see that just shows I'm the truer fan of Leicester. I've been sat top of the perch all the season. We're getting to this later stage, and now I'm throwing it away. Alec, just call me Brad Rogers, because that's might as well be my name. I'm doing it for us. I'm trying to specify better than you, mate.
Well, I tell you what, talking about, doing that, when we do I'm just trying to find it here, when we do the prediction league with the ex-players, I actually was top last season, but this season, because I won't go against my team, I am bottom, because I've never gone for a loss, where Steve Linitz has got 3 points, Ian Wilson has got 3 points, Tags, Walshy and Marshy have all got a point. I've got a big fat 0, and I'm still sitting bottom because I won't go against my team that much. I did go for the 1-1, and for a while it was on, but there we go. Mike just says big up Doe. So I think he obviously means you, Doug. Dorco says here, if Leicester had as much money as Liverpool, it could have been a draw. Yeah. As to quote Gino Gino, what's he called? The chef on TV.
You're right.
My mother had had wheels, should have been a bike. One of the great classic lines ever. The Denmark Superliga, yeah. Doug, thanks so much. I can see you still in your coat. Two bus rides home for you from work. That's dedication, man.
My absolute pleasure. It's always a pleasure coming on your channel. Always a pleasure to speak to you, speak to Brad, as well. You're doing a fantastic job on this channel. So I hope it grows as much as you would like it to. And obviously, I know we'll probably speak more during the rest of the season. But I just want to say I wish you all the best for the rest of the season.
I do as well, and you. Thank you very much. Yeah. And just do me a favour and stuff Chelsea in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah. Oh, I really hope. Really hope we do. Yeah, I really hope we do.
Before you go though, you've got your Twitter handle there. Give that details about your channel as well.
Yeah, my YouTube is the Dugout Football channel. I'll be live tomorrow about 1:00. I'm doing a prediction stream with I think you might know him, Paul from the Toon Review.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So I'm doing that tomorrow. So if anyone's around at 1:00, then obviously come and join me for that. Yeah. That is my Twitter handle, is Enrod_1992. Instagram is Douglas.Horn, and I'm also on Facebook at Douglas James Horn.
Yeah. I am not sure when you're next due on, but of course you will probably be on our weekend roundup as well in the coming weeks.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yes,
I've been kind of looking down the dates. I think it's potentially either not next Monday, but maybe March. I could be completely wrong about that, but
I make it up as I go along, depending who's available. So, hey, all the best for the rest of the season. Like I say, do us a favour, stuff Chelsea, and good luck in the Carabao Cup.
Thank you. I'll see you later. Take care,
cheers, guy. All the best. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Great guy, great channel. Make sure you follow him. I think you got a fan here, Brad. Media Man Productions. Brad is a sexy man. Sorry, you're not very sexy. You're a sexy man.
Wow. Thank you very much for the compliment. Whoever that is, Media Man Productions. Well,
it's worrying. It's when it's got me.
All I can say is to Media Man Productions, there's probably someone out there giving you evils right now that you may or may not know. I just think that,
well, I say the worried at the fact that he said you're a sexy man and he's called Media Man Productions. I'm not casting aspersions at all. I mean, he doesn't want Chelsea to be stuffed, so he's obviously a Chelsea fan.
Oh, hi, Jack.
Oh, you know it is, do you?
I think I know who it is. So yeah, I'll leave that there. If it's a Chelsea fan, I know who it is. Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I thought it might have been.
Do we start going, Jack and Bradley sitting in a tree? KISSING. No, maybe not.
No.
He says you know who. He says you know who.
Yeah.
JJ, thank you so much. Chris is sexier. Can I just say you should have gone to Specsavers. You really should. But thank you. But I think you do need the glasses more than I do. And hi mate, he says, and I'm going to leave this. This is going to be the last comment because I don't think we could top this. If there's a comment of the show, if there's a prize for it, I would give it to you, Chloe. Brad is the sexiest. Yeah, I don't think we will leave that there. Brad, your Twitter account is in the description below on YouTube. Just read it, and we've got it there, but just say where people can follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know why you would, unless you're really bored and would like to watch me lose at quizzes or talk on this show, but it is full-time focus. You can follow me on Twitter. It's where I share all my content. Try and waffle things that make sense when I'm not posting where I am and what shows I'm at. But yeah, just at full-time focus. It's all one word. There's no underscores or anything like that in there. So it's easy enough to find.
And I did say Chloe's was the last one, but I don't think you can better that one. Drop the OnlyFans, Brad.
I'm saying nothing, Your Honour, in a court of law that doesn't stand up.
If I start a Leicester Till I Die love site, a dating app,
well, I'd be taken off the market, mate. I'm afraid. It's safe to say.
Yeah, JJ, this is getting weird now. This is getting weird. But those that know where Brad's true feelings are, mate. Have a good night, and we're back tomorrow at 7. You're joining me at 7 for the preview.
Yes, I am.
Just in case you forgot, which is quite possible.
Mate, yeah, I had to be honest with you. I didn't forget, but I more forgot what date it was. I keep forgetting that we're on a Thursday. It's weird playing on a Thursday. It's not like a Europa League game. So
I know. I'm going to have you because we've got Jake on.
Oh, that'd be fun then.
The Mauritius Miner, or whatever they call him. He's just he'll bite your ankles, and that's because he is only 3 foot nothing. He is 14, but I need two of us to take him on.
Oh, hold on. If he's watching, get these quiz questions ready. I'll host it. You can't back out of it now.
I did one quiz the other night because I was sucked into doing it. And I did okay, and I was up against 2 Liverpool fans. In fairness, so they had twice the chance. It was like blockbusters. 2 of them up against me, and I did take it to a tie break, so I was reasonably proud about that. Doug, Brad, as always, thank you very much, sir. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on, and I will see you tomorrow at 7. Take care, buddy.
Andrew, mate, I'll see you tomorrow.
Cheers. Do make sure you go and give him a follow at Fulltime Focus on Twitter. And he is a star. Keith, I was sucked into doing it. Yeah, definitely. There was no warning, but then again, like I say, I've been running from Jack, the West Ham fan, and he's 14. I've been running away from doing a quiz against him for half the season. So, well, 2-0. You pays your money, you takes your choice. Some people say that was a better performance. Some people say, do you know what? It wasn't, because Liverpool didn't get out of, say, first, second gear. All I know is he's not called the Stig, but all I know is that it is going to be a cauldron. Excuse me, it's going to be a cauldron at the King Power on Sunday. It's a 4:30 kickoff. It is on Sky, and the atmosphere, I honestly feel, is going to be electric. Because if the players and whatever do not turn up and put a performance in against West Ham, I dread to think what the reaction will be. But we've got that to look forward to. Thanks. If you watched the watch along earlier, thanks very much. That's still on the channel. If you do get a chance, please go onto the YouTube site, Leicester Till I Die TV, and give us a subscribe. It means a lot. It does mean a lot if you can subscribe to me. Thank you so much. And if you're listening to this on catch up on Spotify, Amazon, Apple iTunes, Google, Podcast Addict, or whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on, thank you so much for listening, and thanks to everybody that was in the chat. I'm going to give a special shout out to JJ, who said I was sexier. Cheers, mate. Specsavers tomorrow. See you all tomorrow at 7. Stay safe. Good night, guys.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
The Leicester Till I Die shop is now open.
For all your Leicester Till I Die merchandise,
Visit the Leicester Till I Die shop at our website.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
That's all, folks.
Some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over. It is now.